welcome to another exciting, fantastic, solid day of geometry. See what I did there? Okay, so today we get to talk about more of our geometric solids. Today we're going to talk about prisms and cylinders. So a prism is a rectangular solid that has two parallel bases. So next time we'll talk about pyramids, which is still a solid, but it's only going to have one base. But for today, we're going to talk about rectangular prisms and then other types of prisms. So we name them by the shape of their base. When we're talking about our rectangular prisms, now this equation is true. It's 2 times the length plus the width plus 2 times the length plus the height plus 2 times the width times the height. That is always true, but I like this equation because rather than trying to memorize or know how to use a bunch of different ones, this equation will always get me the surface area of a type of shape. Okay, so we've got surface area is P times H, so big P is our perimeter, times H, which is the height of our prism. So it's important that we acknowledge that that is the height of our prism and not necessarily the height of our base. And then 2 times big B, which is our base area. And then depending on what type of base we have is the formula that goes there. Now, when you're looking at our rectangular prisms, okay, for the most part, the base is going to be what it's sitting on. With rectangular prisms, that's the case. So if you look, the base is this bottom rectangle here. Okay, so we're going to need to find the perimeter of the base, the area of the base, and then the height of our prism. So that's where a lot of kiddos get in trouble, is they get the height of the base and not necessarily the height of the prism. So remember, perimeter is simply distance around. So our base is a rectangle, so 7 plus 7 plus 13 plus 13, 14 plus 26 gets me a perimeter of 40 feet. Height, remember, this is of our prism, not necessarily the base. Okay, so height of our prism is how high it is from the top base to the bottom base. In that case, it's 9 feet. And then since our base is a rectangle, the area of a rectangle is length times width. So we're going to go 7 times 13. I don't know why I put an X there. That's so old school. So 7 times 13, we like our parentheses. And I'm pretty sure it's 91, but just because I like to double check, let's make sure. 7 times 13, 91. Look at that. So 91 feet squared. Okay, so we take all that data and we're going to substitute it in to surface area is perimeter times height plus 2 times the base area. So we found our perimeter is 40. So 40 times height of 9 plus 2 times 91. Now, if you're wondering yourself, why is there a 2 in front of our base area? Most of you guys can figure it out. That's because there are 2 bases. Look at you. Hey, now I can put this right into my calculator. Okay. 40 times 9. And then plus 2 times 91. Let your calculator do the heavy lifting. It's important that we practice our calculator skills as we're going through these problems because you don't have your computer calculator. You don't have ChatGPT. You don't have your online generator where you just plug in the links and it gives you all that stuff. So when it comes time for an assessment and you're like, man, I don't know what's happening. You're like, oh, that makes sense because Coach O said use my calculator in class instead of trying to do it all online. All right, number 3. Again, the base is generally what it's sitting on. The base can be whatever you want the base to be. Okay, in this case, it's going to be that one. So perimeter is 11 plus 11 plus 6 plus 6. So 22 plus 12. Pretty sure that's 34. Height is the height of our prism, so the distance from the top base to the bottom base. In this case, it's 1.5. And then area of a rectangle is length times width. So we're going to go 11 times 6, which we know to be 66. But why not practice our calculator skills? 66 inches squared. So we take our three pieces of data and we sub it in. So perimeter we found to be 34. Height is 1.5 plus 2 times our base area, which was 66. So 34 times 1.5 plus 2 times 66. Guys, I know the temptation is there. I know we want to just kind of find that easy way out, but practice your calculator skills, please. I know ChatGPT will do it. I know that the solvers are out there, but that does not help you get better. And the purpose of practice is for us to get better. Okay? So rectangle prisms, pretty straightforward. Now we're going to move into a different shape. So we name our prism by the shape of the base. The base is whatever there's two parallels. So if you look, our base is actually this triangle here. Okay, now this is where it can get confusing because our base area has a height. Do you see it? Our base area has a height and our prism has a height. So remember, prism height is distance from top to bottom. And then this base area height is going to be that piece of our base. So 9 and 12 can be moved down here because the top is going to be congruent to the bottom. That's the only way a prism works. So perimeter, we're just going to 9 plus 12 plus 15. Pretty sure that's 36. The height, how far is it from our top base to our bottom base? Is 16 meters. And remember, guys, when you're watching these videos, you can pause, you can rewind, you can go back and look. What the stinking heck was Coach O talking about? Take your time. I know the sub is probably going to play it straight through for you, but it's posted on there for you to go back and look. Okay, and then 1/2 our base, which is 9, times our height, which is 12. So 0.5 times 9 times 12, 54. And this is why I like to use that surface area formula, because it doesn't change, right? We're not learning something new every single time. So we know our perimeter is 36. Let me double check that, just because I don't want to tell y'all the wrong answer. And it's good to double check our work. Okay, 36 times 16 plus 2 times 54. Okay, so 36 times 16. Oh, not that many. Aha. 576 plus 2 times 54. 684. Again, this one is kind of sitting up on its side. The last triangular prism was sitting on its base. This time, though, our base is kind of here, and it's sitting on one of its faces. So a face is the sides that are not our base. So perimeter is distance around. Do we have enough information? We know that's a 5. And we know that's a 12, so perfect. 5 plus 12 plus 10 is 27. Okay. The height of our prism, not the height of our base. The height of our prism is 3. Okay, how far is it from the front to the back? That's 3 kilometers. And then now half the base, what is intersected by that height, which is what's meeting it at a right angle, half of 12 times our height of 4.1. So this is another way you can put in 0.5. You can just do 1 divided by 2 times 12 times 4.1. That gets us 24.6 kilometers squared. Make your science teachers happy, use your units. And then now we just plug it into our equation. 27 times 3 plus 2 times 24.6. 27 times 3, pretty sure it's 81, plus 2 times 24.6, which was our base area of our prism. So we get 130.3 kilometers squared. So your base area is based on the shape of your base, so that's one of our plane formulas. And then your total surface area is all of those. Okay, now again, we've got a 4 face because our base is a quadrilateral, so we've got 4 faces. Okay, in this case, our base is a trapezoid. See it? So that's another way we can look. So this side is not congruent, so that's not going to be a base. This side is not parallel, so that's not going to be a base. So that only leaves me from the back and the front. Okay, perimeter is the distance around. We know this side is 20. We know this side is 18. So 12 plus 23 plus 20 plus 18. What is that? 30, 50, 73. But let's double check with our calculator. 12 plus 23 plus 20 plus 18. Look at that. You guys are geniuses. 73 feet. Okay, the height, how far is it from the front of our prism to the back of our prism is 15. And then base area, 1/2 the height times base 1 plus base 2. So half of the height of our base is 12. Top to bottom, you can see it there. Top of the prism to the bottom here. Boom, boom. And then 18 plus 23. So again, calculator skills, they're essential. You're going to need to do them for those crazy 3-letter tests. Half of 12 times 18 plus 23. And if you use parentheses, your calculator will follow order of operations correctly. 246. Feet squared, use your units, keep your science teachers happy. So we got our surface area is 73 times 15 plus 2 times 246. 73 times 15 plus 2 times 246 equals 1587 feet squared. Okay, so those are our prisms. The cool thing is, look at that blinding light. The cool thing is, we are going to be doing something similar to find the cylinder. Okay, so it is lateral area, surface area. This guy, okay, guess what? Pi r squared is just area. Look at that. Okay, so that's 2 times our base area. And that looks familiar. And then what is 2 pi r? You guessed it, circumference, which is just perimeter of a circle. So this equation should look a lot like the equation we just did, but since it's a circle, we know that the area is a little different. So 11 yards is the radius of my base. Again, a cylinder is neat because we don't have to guess. It's going to be whatever the circle is, right? Our circle is the base. So we're going 2 pi r to find our circumference. So 2 pi times 11. And then this is where we're going to make sure we keep our pi. And if they want us to apply pi, we do it at the very end. And then area is pi r squared, so 11 squared. Early in the morning, so let me just double check that it's going to be 121, and look at that, 121 pi. Okay. And again, this is what I just showed you guys. 2 pi r times height plus 2 pi r squared. It's just perimeter times height plus 2 times the base area. That is why I prefer this equation over the other ones where it's specific to a certain scenario. Because it's the same. If we're doing a 2 base solid, it's the same. All right, so 2 pi r, we found our perimeter to be, our circumference, excuse me, of 22 pi. And then the height is the top of the cylinder to the bottom, which we found to be 26. Sorry, I did not label that earlier. Plus 2 times our base area, which was 121 pi. So just like before, we're going to treat pi kind of like a variable. So 22 times 26. We are not going to apply pi. We're just going to carry it along for the ride. And then if they want us to apply pi, we'll do it at the very end. So 572 pi plus 2 times 121, 242 pi. And because they both are in terms of pi, we can combine them. So plus 572. So equals 814 pi. And then what was our units? Yards squared. And if we want to apply pi, the calculator can do the heavy lifting. So times, and then we hit the second, and then the caret button is what we need there. So it's approximately 255. Oh, wow, that was a bad math, Coach O. 2,557.26 square yards. We'll do one more cylinder. Okay, so we want circumference is pi d. We did pi d this time because they gave us the diameter. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. So 15 pi. Pi r squared, so we're going 15 over 2 squared. I like fractions. I know you guys love fractions. Well, that's okay. Got to keep the fraction game going. Hey, 15 over 2. I know you guys know it's 7.5. We're going to square it. And because we like fractions, we hit math frac. Hopefully this old calculator can do this. 225 over 4. Okay, fractions are your friends. Be nice to them. Okay. Surface area is circumference times height. So 15 pi times 9, the distance from the top of the cylinder to the back, the bottom of the cylinder. In this case, it looks like from left to right. Plus 2 times our base area, 225 over 4 pi. Again, let your calculator do the heavy lifting. 15 times 9. Treat pi like a variable and just carry it along for the ride. Okay, 135 pi. And then 2 times 225 divided by 4. Probably going to be another fraction, isn't it? Look at that. In rascals. 120. So it's 225 over 2 pi. And then we combine like terms. Plus 135. And then math. Oh, it's already in a fraction. Okay, look at that. Because it started there. So 495 over 2 pi. And if I needed to apply the pi, I would just hit times second area. 777.54. And meters squared was our unit. Okay. Volume's a little different, not that much different though. Sorry, I didn't prep this one properly. It's easier. Okay. Now it will say length times width times height, so it might be a little simpler in this scenario, but I still like doing base area times height. It just simplifies it. So the base area is 9 times 17. 9 times 17, I feel like we found earlier, didn't we? Okay. So 135 And then the height from the top to the bottom is 24. Just centimeters linear, sorry. And then base area times height. Again, this is true. Length times width times height works for rectangles, but it doesn't work for all of them. That's why I like just showing base area times height. So 135 times 24. And we get a volume of 3,240 centimeters cubed. And that's because we did centimeters squared times centimeters. So if you think about your exponent rules, okay, common bases, you would add them. So centimeters 2 plus 1 is centimeters cubed. Yeah, I know that was, y'all love that. Good job. Back to our triangular base. Again, base area times height will always give me my volume. I don't have to memorize a different formula. That's why I prefer it this way. So 1/2 the area of the base times the height. So in this case, our base is 12. I can move that from top to bottom because this is my base. Okay. So 12, and then the height from the top of the triangle to the bottom of the triangle. Remember, this is the height of our base. I know that's where there's a little tricky sticking point, right? So 1 divided by 2. Well, 7.3. So 43.8 feet squared. Our height of our prism, the top of the base to the bottom of the base is 5. So when I plug it in, base area, we already found 43.8. Height is 5. So just let our calculator do the work. Times 5. 219 cubic feet. Now let's look at cylinders. Volume is base area times height. Don't let it trick you. It's still just pi r squared, which is base area of a circle, right? So pi r squared. So we're going pi times 18 squared times the height from top of our cylinder to the bottom of our cylinder, which is 15. If you want to visualize it, think about your water bottle. When you put it under the fountain, what fills up first? The base, and then it just goes up as high as the top of your cylinder. That's why volume works like that. So 18 squared is 324, but just for fun, let's make sure. 18 squared is 324 times 15, which is 4,860 pi. And if it wants you to round it, just go ahead and go times pi. Treat pi like a variable, just carry it for the ride. And then if I have to apply it at the end, we will. So 15,268.14 cubic inches. Let's do one more. Volume is the base area times the height. So pi r squared times height, because pi r squared is the area of a circle. This is definitely where I want to let my calculator do all the work. So 11 over 2 squared, because the whole diameter is 11, we won't have to find the radius. So let it work. So here we go. 11, make sure you use parentheses because it'll long square the 2 if you don't. Squared times 21. And then math. My calculator might not do this one. It's kind of old. Oh, it did. Look at that. So 2541 over 4 pi meters cubed. And then if it wants us to apply pi, you hit times pi, which is 1,995.7. Now, sometimes it'll say use the pi button. Use pi button. That's what we just did here. Sometimes it'll say use 3.14, and sometimes it'll say use 22 over 7. So make sure you're identifying what they want you to do. Me personally, I love the pi button because you guys know me, I like to be as exact as possible. The pi button doesn't miss. 3.14 is rounding. 22/7 is closer, but it's still round. So if I hit pi, it's going to give me all my decimal points out, right? So I know 3.14 is leaving off at least the rest of those, and then 22 divided by 7 is similar. It's going to get you approximately there, but you can see 3.14159265 3.142857. That's why all of these are just approximations. This guy up top, that is exact, and we love being exact. All right, guys, that completes our lesson for today. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for being great. Go out and do awesome, wonderful things. Love you guys. See ya.